NASCAR has raced at 168 different tracks since 1949. Only 24 are still on the schedule. That means 144 tracks have been left behind, some closed, some demolished, some sitting there rotting in the weeds. And every single one has a story about why NASCAR walked away and never came back. The graveyard, here's the thing about abandoned racetracks. They don't just disappear quietly. They haunt the sport. Fans talk about them like lost lovers. Remember Rockingham? God, I miss Riverside. Nashville Fairgrounds was perfect. And NASCAR just nods awkwardly because they're the ones who left. So let's tour the graveyard. Every major track NASCAR abandoned, why it died, and what's left behind. Rockingham Speedway. The Rock. Let's start with the most famous zombie track in NASCAR. Rockingham Speedway in North Carolina, affectionately called The Rock, 1.017 miles of high-banked D-shaped asphalt that hosted 78 Cup races from 1965 to 2004. Almost 4 decades of NASCAR history. Richard Petty won there. Dale Earnhardt won there. The 2004 finale was a photo finish between Matt Kenseth and rookie Casey Conning, separated by 0.010 seconds, one of the closest in NASCAR history. Then it vanished from the schedule. Why? The Furco lawsuit. Francis Furco, a Texas Motor Speedway shareholder, sued NASCAR in 2004 claiming antitrust violations because TMS only had 1 Cup date, while other ISC tracks had 2. Rockingham got sacrificed. 1 date went to Texas, the other went to Phoenix. But here's the kicker. Rockingham was also struggling with attendance. The final race in 2004 had 10,000 empty seats. The track was in rural North Carolina with less than 10,000 residents. Charlotte Motor Speedway was 80 miles away. Hard to justify 2 tracks that close when one's half empty. International Speedway Corporation owned it at the time, sold it to Speedway Motorsports, and Speedway Motorsports agreed to never host NASCAR races there as part of the deal. The track got auctioned off multiple times. Former racer Andy Hillenberg bought it in 2007 for $4.4 million. It became a testing facility. Teams would rent it out because NASCAR banned testing at active Cup tracks. Rockingham became the place to simulate tire wear for Atlanta or practice with the car of tomorrow. In 2012, NASCAR brought the Truck Series back for 2 years. Kyle Larson won the final race in 2013, then silence again until 2021. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper allocated $10 million in COVID relief funds to Rockingham for infrastructure improvements. New owner Dan Lovenheim repaved the entire track, updated the garages, built a new media center. April 2025, NASCAR returned. Xfinity and trucks. The Xfinity race sold out. NASCAR's executive vice president Ben Kennedy called it an unbelievable turnout. Few tracks get a second chance, even fewer get a third. Rockingham got both, and then immediately got listed for sale again in May 2025. Because nothing about this track makes sense. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. This one hurts. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway is a 0.596-mile oval that hosted 42 Cup races from 1958 to 1984. It's the second oldest continually operating track in the United States, dating back to 1904, when it hosted horseless carriages and motorcycles. Richard Petty won there 9 times. Darrell Waltrip, who has roots in Franklin, Tennessee, won 8 times. This was a proving ground for Southern talent. Bobby Allison, Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin all raced there. The track was perfect. Half-mile bull ring, tight racing. July 25, 1970, the Nashville 420 became the first NASCAR sporting event to be nationally televised. So why'd NASCAR leave? Disputes, city government, track management, politics. Nobody could agree on anything. NASCAR pulled the Cup race in 1984 and never came back. The track didn't die, though. It kept hosting local races. NASCAR Busch Series, now Xfinity, ran there from 1995 to 2000. Truck Series ran from 1996 to 2000. Then even those left when Nashville Superspeedway opened in 2001. For years, Nashville's mayor wanted to close the fairgrounds and redevelop the land. Developers circled like vultures. But fans passed a ballot measure protecting the track. It stayed open. Now here's the twist. Bristol Motor Speedway and Metro Nashville are rebuilding it. $65 million project. New grandstands for 30,000 fans. Turn 4 hospitality area. Premium suites. A 20-foot sound wall to appease neighbors. The goal? Bring NASCAR Cup Series back to Nashville Fairgrounds. Not the superspeedway outside town. The actual fairgrounds where NASCAR history happened. Construction's happening now. This is North Wilkesboro 2.0. Riverside International Raceway. Now we get to the West Coast Graveyard. Riverside International Raceway in California. 2.62 miles of road course hell in the desert near Moreno Valley. 9 turns. Long backstretch. Hairpin at the end that ate breaks for breakfast. Opened in 1957. NASCAR ran there from 1963 to 1988. From 1967 to 1985, Riverside was the only road course on the Cup schedule. You know, this track was legendary. Dan Gurney won 5 times. Bobby Allison won 6 times. More than anyone. Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty each won 5. It was NASCAR's playground for road course ringers. Guys like A.J. Foyt, Parnelli Jones, and Mark Donohue who'd show up just for Riverside. From 1981 to 1987, Riverside hosted the season finale. The final NASCAR race there was June 12, 1988, won by Rusty Wallace. Then it closed. Why? Los Angeles sprawl. Riverside was built in the desert. By the late 1980s, the desert was full of houses. Moreno Valley was booming. Residents hated the noise. The land became worth more as real estate than as a racetrack. Fritz Duda, the final owner, sold to developers in 1988. The track stayed open for club racing until July 1989. The final event, a Can-Am race, killed driver Mark Verbofsky. 19 drivers total died at Riverside in 31 years. It was dangerous as hell. Then the bulldozers came. Today, Moreno Valley Mall sits on the northern half. The housing developments cover the southern half. Turn 9 is somebody's backyard. The only hints of racing history are 2 street names, Pankey Street and Andretti Street, but they're not even inside the original track boundaries. Nothing remains. It's completely gone. The Riverside International Automotive Museum in downtown Riverside preserves the memory, but the track itself, erased. Like it never existed. Fans tried to rebuild a Riverside-style track in Merced, California in 2003. The project died in 2009 for financial reasons. Riverside's gone forever. North Wilkesboro Speedway. You already know this story. North Wilkesboro Speedway, one of NASCAR's original 8 tracks. 0.625 miles, opened in 1949. Hosted 93 Cup races from 1949 to 1996. Speedway Motorsports. Incorporated bought it in 1996 and immediately moved both race dates to Texas Motor Speedway and New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The track sat abandoned for 27 years, grandstands rotting, weeds growing through asphalt, nature reclaiming what was once holy ground. In 2023, NASCAR brought the All-Star race back. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Marcus Smith led the revival effort. $18 million in renovations funded by North Carolina. The race sold out. 55,000 fans. NASCAR realized they'd stumbled onto something. The sport needed its roots back. 2024, another All-Star race. Another sellout. 2025 and beyond. Full weekend races with trucks, Xfinity, and potentially Cup. North Wilkesboro came back from the dead. It's the exception that proves the rule. Texas World Speedway, College Station, Texas. 2-mile D-shaped oval that looks identical to Michigan International Speedway and the old Auto Club Speedway layout. NASCAR Cup ran there sporadically from 1969 to 1981. 7 total races. The racing was actually good. 5 of those 7 had 20-plus lead changes, but it was in the middle of nowhere. Attendance sucked. The track fell into disrepair twice, once after NASCAR left in 1981, again after an attempted revival in the 1990s with ARCA. Darrell Waltrip won the final ARCA race there in 1993. Now it's a driver training facility, owned by a private company. The grandstands are torn down. The track surface is crumbling. You can still see it from satellite images, but it's not coming back. Nazareth Speedway, Pennsylvania, 1-mile tri-oval. Roger Penske bought the property in 1986 and built a track that hosted IndyCar and NASCAR races. The shape was weird, officially 4 turns, but people argued about it because of how the tri-oval worked. NASCAR ran there from 1988 to 2004. The track went into foreclosure in 1986. Before it even opened, got renovated in 1997, then closed in 2004. Capacity was 45,000. By the end, they couldn't fill half of it. Now, complete disrepair, grandstands torn down. Foliage everywhere. It's been sitting abandoned for 20 years. 0 chance it comes back. Daytona Beach Road Course. This is where it all started. The Daytona Beach and Road Course course wasn't a track. It was half beach, half highway A1A, 3 to 4 miles, depending on which configuration they used. Racing started there in 1937. Bill France Sr. organized events before NASCAR even existed. On February 15th, 1948, NASCAR was officially formed. The beach course hosted the second ever NASCAR race. The racing was pure chaos: sand, pavement, tides, wind, cars getting stuck, crashes into the ocean. When Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959, the beach course was done. The actual beach still exists. Obviously, you can drive on it, but NASCAR will never race there again. It's a historical footnote now. The birthplace of NASCAR, abandoned for a proper superspeedway. Occoneechee Speedway. Hillsboro, North Carolina, 1-mile dirt oval, one of NASCAR's original 8 tracks, hosted the third race in Strictly Stock Series history in 1949. NASCAR ran there until 1968 when Bill France Sr. gave up on it due to local opposition. He took the money and bought land in Alabama, where he built Talladega Superspeedway. The track's been taken over by woods, but the old concrete grandstands still stand. There's a historic speedway trail where you can walk the old track. It's a ghost, a beautiful, forgotten ghost. Ontario Motor Speedway. California's other lost superspeedway, 2.5-mile oval in Ontario, California, opened in 1970, nicknamed Indianapolis of the West. NASCAR ran there from 1971 to 1980. IndyCar loved it, and the racing was fast and dangerous, but it was built on leased land. When the lease expired in 1980, the owners chose not to renew. The track closed. Today, housing developments completely erased. Like Riverside, nothing remains. California went from having 2 major NASCAR tracks, Riverside in Ontario, to having Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, which itself is being demolished and turned into a short track or industrial park in 2024. The West Coast is cursed. The modern casualties let speed through the recent dead. Chicagoland Speedway, 1.5-mile cookie cutter track outside Chicago, opened 2001, lost its cup date in 2020. NASCAR replaced it with Road America, then the Chicago Street Race. The track still exists and hosts other racing series, but no NASCAR events. It's in limbo, not demolished, but functionally dead to NASCAR. The facility was built during NASCAR's expansion era, designed to bring the sport to the Chicago market. For a while, it worked, but attendance sagged. The racing product was mediocre, and when NASCAR had the chance to race on the streets of downtown Chicago instead of a suburban parking lot, the choice was obvious. Chicagoland got left behind. Kentucky Speedway, 1.5-mile tri-oval, opened 2000, got cup races starting in 2011 after years of lobbying and lawsuits. The first race was a disaster. Traffic nightmare outside the track, thousands of fans missed the start, and the on-track product was boring. The track never recovered from that first impression, then they repaved it in 2016, which made it worse. The new surface created single groove racing. Attendance tanked. When NASCAR started diversifying the schedule in 2020, Kentucky was on the chopping block. It's still there, still hosting lower series races occasionally, but Cup is never coming back. Road America. This one stings, because Road America is actually a great track. 4-mile road course in Wisconsin. Brought back to Cup in 2021 as Chicagoland's replacement. Fans showed up, 100,000 plus for the first race. The racing was fantastic, but it's in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, not a major media market, no corporate hospitality infrastructure. When the Chicago Street Race became available in 2023, NASCAR made the call. Road America was demoted to Xfinity only in 2023, then removed entirely in 2024. The track is fine. It hosts plenty of other racing series, but NASCAR abandoned it anyway. All victims of modernizing tradition, NASCAR's infamous phrase for abandoning historic tracks in favor of new markets. The phrase became a rallying cry for frustrated fans who watched the sport prioritize growth over heritage. Why tracks die? Tracks die for 3 reasons. Location, rural tracks can't compete with major media markets. Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, Nashville Fairgrounds. Small towns, Charlotte, Texas, Phoenix, bigger TV markets, more corporate money. Attendance, Rockingham's 10,000 empty seats in 2004, Nazareth's half-empty grandstands. No tickets sold equals no money equals dead track. Real estate. Riverside and Ontario both died because the land was worth more as shopping malls. Moreno Valley Mall generates more tax revenue than a racetrack ever could. NASCAR's economic model requires packed grandstands and corporate hospitality. Historic tracks can't compete with modern facilities built for luxury suites and 100,000 fans. Greenville Pickens Speedway, South Carolina. Half-mile paved oval, hosted 28 Cup races from 1951 to 1971. Richard Petty, David Pearson, Buck Baker, Ned Jarrett all raced there. It was a legitimate proving ground. When NASCAR entered its modern era in 1972, Greenville got left behind, too small, not enough infrastructure. After NASCAR left, the track kept hosting lower series. Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Corey LaJoie, William Byron all won there early in their careers. Then it stopped hosting races entirely. Listed for sale, reportedly under contract. Nobody knows if racing will return. The twist? Greenville is one of NASCAR's top TV markets. People there love NASCAR, but the actual track that helped build the sport, abandoned, the ones nobody remembers. Here's the thing about abandoned tracks. Most don't get eulogies. Most just vanish. Asheville Weaverville Speedway, bulldozed in 1999 for a shopping center. Heidelberg Raceway in Pennsylvania, closed 1973. Industrial Park, Memphis Motorsports Park, hosted Truck Series and Xfinity, closed 2009. Demolished, gone. There are dozens more. Small tracks, fairground ovals, dirt tracks NASCAR visited once in the 1950s and never came back. They're not part of the nostalgia conversation because most fans don't remember they existed. But each one was somebody's home track. Each one mattered to the local community, and NASCAR walked away from all of them. What's left, abandoned NASCAR tracks are scattered across America. Some are gone, Riverside, Ontario, Daytona Beach. Some are rotting, Nazareth, Texas World. Some are fighting for survival, Nashville Fairgrounds, Rockingham. One came back, North Wilkesboro. Oh, everyone has a story. Richard Petty's 9 wins at Nashville. Bobby Allison's 6 at Riverside. The photo finishes at Rockingham. These tracks mattered. The ones that died aren't just asphalt rotting in fields. They're ghosts NASCAR created by choosing tomorrow over yesterday. North Wilkesboro proved the dead can rise, but most won't. That's the cost of progress. NASCAR's graveyard keeps growing. If you want more NASCAR deep dives that examine what actually happened, instead of repeating nostalgia, subscribe. Next video breaks down every NASCAR team that went bankrupt and why the economics destroyed them.